are one of the youngest members of the Dehiwala-Mount Lavinia Municipal Council. What made you join politics?
It was mainly an invitation by our former organizer for Dhammika, Honorable Mohanlal, who on the latter actually crossed over. When he was contesting the provincial council elections, he had basically with the ward system in Dhammika, Pirivala ward, that the ward I represent, he had a problem with having a good organizer. So he in fact asked me a couple of times, and first few times I refused. But later on he really requested, and thereon I decided to step into politics, which I guess was for the better of everyone. I've actually succeeded far beyond what I first started on. So,
tell me about the support you received when you first ran for the elections.
The thing was this: I was always a social worker. So I was always within the community. I was with I have no class variations. There's no variations towards the people that I have. So I was with everyone. I was with mainly the youth, also the elders. We worked towards having programs. So when they knew that I was stepping in, of course at one point it was a question of which party I am to select. But then again I decided, because of something that has come with my ancestry, where from my father to my grandfather, everyone had been involved with the United National Party, where I should select the party. And still for all, everyone got together and said, fine, if it's your decision, we are with you. And thereon, that's when I decided to, the support was immense. It was unbelievable actually, mainly when running for an election. The main things that you should be worried about is the financial aspect. I had nothing to worry about that, as well as, when it came to the people, I had an immense amount of people supporting me right throughout.
How was election days for you as a newcomer?
As a newcomer, I think right at the beginning I was misled by a few people who, I think on the latter, you understand it because it's competitive, elections you run, it's a very competitive thing, but then a bit of injustice happened with the candidacies, For example, us as UMPs, we were restricted, whereas, absolute government, big boys had the opportunity of putting out whatever they want. They went on rallies, they had, big this thing where we could not even put up poster. So the restrictions were high and we found it a bit difficult in campaigning. But then again, my focus, how I did it was dedicate about 15 minutes per house, go and talk to individuals, take it step by step. So thereon, it was, I think, the concept that varies as to how you want to have, how you plan your campaign. And my campaign was planned on a door-to-door basis, so I had actually no problem on that.
What do you see as the main issue that the people at the Dehiwala-Mount Lavinia Municipal Council is facing right now?
The main thing that we have at the moment is, of course, the dengue problem. But there are certain things from council where if you take the community-based things, community-based operations such as garbage, clearance of garbage, building when someone wants to build a house, the planning divisions. So like that we have different divisions. I think those divisions should be more developed. Of course, the garbage collection has been put in, and the council now have allocated a lot of money and they're putting a lot of effort into getting developing that. By doing that, the dengue, so that the dengue aspect will be cleared out. But what the existing system, what they want to have is frequency. But more than frequency, what I think to develop these sort of things, what you need is consistency. So without you can have as much as frequency you want, but then if the consistency is not there as to how and the planning is not there, we can't drive and it's not going to be successful. So I think the first things, these are a few things that I have also brought up, where we have special programs, and even in dengue cleaning, I say don't always take the people into courts, or don't always get them try to lock the people up. Always look at the council side where we are wrong, and then correct ourselves, and then take it forward.
There were several issues regarding a mosque in the area. There's a bit of tension. What's your opinion on this?
actually that issue was not an issue as it should be spoken about. But just prior to that issue, there was another issue that was brought up by me within the council. Actually, this was about another case. Again, racial discrimination, where it's a certain youth was assaulted by the police over his racial issue. I cannot actually mention the name. So this was actually a follow-up that was brought up by soon after that. But then again, I guess those issues can be sorted out. It is in our area, but you get extremists, you get different sort of people. It's the people within the area that have to control themselves. And I think we as political, front runners, we should, drive our people and make sure that they don't, get into situations like this. Actually, to rectify those sort of things recently, during the Poson period, myself, and a certain amount of Muslim from the Ratmalana Mosque, we got together and we gave dry rations to about 3,000 people. So what the Muslim community itself, I represent a very minor ethnicity in the Burger the group is a very small thing, so I guess I'm one of the only few Burgers who be in politics. But to get everyone together, leave the race, leave the caste, leave everything aside, the religious aspect, leave everything aside, just get everyone together as a group and work together. That will build up a lot of there'll be a lot of people who will work with, especially when I see the Muslims, the way they worked with me, it was unbelievable. They were right through. They were like, they supported. They said, what we want is, we don't want to have problems, but we want to be away from these problems, and we want to show people that we also like to work. So that's mainly the problem. But as for the mosque issue, I think it should not be spoken over, as it is not such a big problem.
The Dehiwala-Mount Lavinia Municipal Council was a UNP seat at one point, and now it's gone by the UPFA. Do you think the UPFA has done justice to the seat?
Well, if you speak infrastructure-wise, yes, there is a lot of justice being done, because I guess when you're on the opposition and you have a council that's running, no government will pump in money. So now there's a lot of money being pumped in, there's a lot of infrastructure work being done. But work can be done, but there should be ways that it should be systematic, as I mentioned before. So yes, there is immense amounts of money coming in. Recently there's been so many projects that have been planned, so many drainage projects. So we can look at a large development aspect, but then again you should think of the other aspects which by these things happening have slowed down and have created a bit of damage to the system.
Corruption is a main issue in any council. How has your council dealt with this?
Corruption, as I said, it is there in most councils or any government agency or whatever it is, mainly because of where the staff or the members are underpaid. So thereon, I guess you take Dehiwala-Mount Lavinia Municipal Council, I won't say that there is no corruption. Maybe sometimes to our misknowledge or some things that may happen, but nothing that can be spoken so bluntly and where you can point fingers at. Mainly because of the mayor's drive, and also this is another thing that we also all look for. We want transparency. So far, it's been about nearly 8 months since the new regime has taken over, but we are on the watch, and if there is anything like that, we will be the first to come out and expose those things. So far, we can't make serious allegations, but I guess in time to come, who knows what will happen, and definitely we will keep the people informed.
The person who introduced you to politics crossed over to the government at one point. Was there any pressure for you to cross over as well?
See, the thing is, this is actually, I think, something that most people should understand. Even during the election time, this was actually one thing, because of my background, my schooling background, being educated at St. Thomas's College, and the people who we associated during our college times. to me being elected and with the crossover, where most people thought that I would cross over. Actually, this was a problem for me during my election campaign as well. But you know, the main thing that people should understand is during a municipal council, with municipal council, there is no way that you can cross over. It is only when you come to provincial council or into parliament that you can cross over. Even though the pressure was there from the people, asking why I'm not crossing over, I'm not doing this. For me, I'm a UMP and I will always remain to be one. I don't want to, go like the rest, and it's as to why you do this. It's all about the ball game, and for me, it's to do some service towards the country and to my people, rather than go out there and make money or just go there for various reasons. So whoever crossed over, they crossed over for a reason, and thereon I don't want to follow their footstep after that. Until they were with us, I would have followed them right through. But after they crossed over, it's no more. We have no affiliation after that.
You are currently working on a national beach policy. Tell us a bit more about this.
See, it's the main drive with this is all the beaches in the country are governed by different, some by the local governments, some by provincial councils, some by various authorities. So what my focus is to have, I've already spoken to the National Life Saving Association, also to certain private organizations who are also willing to come forward, where we would have a proper beach cleaning system, a proper, irrigated water system where we have purified water coming into the sea, wastewater management systems, life-saving lifeguards properly. So all these compiled into one, where we can work towards a more developed, a more classic module of a beach. So far I have already discussed as my first term on the budget. My only request was that they allocate certain amounts of funds for a beach cleaning equipment. Well, sadly the cost of equipment like that is about 25 million rupees, or maybe more, maybe less, but the allocation that we have is not sufficient enough. So moving forward, we will have a proper mock sample of a classic beach, which we would hope on the long run to observe the blue flag status. Now, blue flag status is world renowned, and if you have a blue flag status in your country on one of your beaches, it's recommended. It's lots of tourists will just be attracted to it. So already I have also got in touch with Blue Flag International and asked them what this is. So we are still working on the guidelines at the moment, and maybe we will come out with a proper plan in time to come.
There are reports about division inside the UNP. They call it the running faction, the Sadist faction. As a newcomer, how do you see these divisions?
Well, my thought is I am a UMPer, and there is no other faction apart from being an UMPer. You have a appointed leader, you follow your leader, you have this thing. So it's all just inter-party politics, or which it's actually nothing. And we don't have a problem, but it's, I guess, a media hype, or it's something that is created which is very distinct. So being a UMP, I will respect my honorable leader, and whatever is said from the top will be brought down to the bottom, because there is no other variation in that. You can't have factions come and tell you, this is this, this is that. Maybe, I guess, the government has that issue where where the distribution of power has not been even distributed amongst the members, and that's why even at the moment they're having a crisis with people shouting out and saying that they want deputy ministerial post, and the power egoness is there. But I guess we don't have that as much as they would have it. But it's just the media that wants to put down the opposition, who would speak out and bring out this problem. But it's not a problem at all, and for us so far it has not been a problem.
The crime rate throughout the country has increased. Dehiwala-Mount Lavinia is no exception. Do you think the police is taking enough action to curb this trend?
It's not the authorities, it's not the police who has to look into this. This is like a dengue. It's a national crisis. It's the cost of living. It's not being able to afford. When you don't have the if you're not salaried enough to buy something, to buy your milk, buy your rations for your house, from where are you going to get it? So what our people would do is they would borrow. When they borrow, they can't afford to pay back. So what they have, at the end of the day, you're left with stealing. And also with the existing regime, what you can see is with a lot of corrupt politicians, the drug cartel has really grown up. Even today on a certain paper it was mentioned that the underworld now is not operating within the country, but they are from internationally they are bringing in steps here. So the crime rate to go up is mainly one thing I would say is because of cost of living, and people can't afford, not being able to afford their lifestyle. Also the other faction is political goons who take extreme power onto their hands and misuse the people's power. For example, like what happened in Kotigaon. So those issues should, in Kolonnawa actually, the issue that happened in Kolonnawa, it was just actually an abuse of power that led to a huge criminal act. So these sort of things, politically if you're perfect, if you have a perfect governance, if you have everything running perfectly, a great economy, you won't have any crime rates really. So you can't put the blame on the police, you can't put the blame on the related authorities. I think it's the government who should take up proper measures to look into this problem on a deeper basis rather than taking faction or taking sides when it comes to a criminal this thing.
What are your plans for the future?
My aspirations for being in politics would definitely be to climb up the ladder from municipal council, continue to provincial council, from provincial council, continue to parliament. I want to go do it the proper way rather than just rocket or parachute up and be a non-entity. Rather I start from the beginning and come up. So that is actually the main thing that I would like to do, and I believe I have all the qualifications to continue in this field and bring in, because my sort of thinking is positive thinking, working towards the people, trying to bring something different, unlike what other people would want to do, sit at a desk and make the buck. That's not what I want. I'm a field-going person. I'm always with my people. I safeguard my people's rights, and moving forward, I'm sure my people will also be with me. It's only growing day by day. What I first gain it's expanding. So I guess for sure, if I'm given the opportunity, I will move forward.
What do you think about the youth involvement in politics?
As for youth measures, there is no specific For example, what you consider youth is below 35 years old, and members who are being appointed into that don't actually mainly, it's the members themselves, they don't work towards the youth drive, or there is no particular. Of course you have to have during election period you have to have your members who the candidates who are the youth candidates, but then again they are also deprived. So I think the youth movement should be strengthened in all aspects, and more youth should be brought in, more quality, more educated youth should be brought in, rather than political favorites, or people who would just venture out into politics just because of a certain status or where their father would gain. It should come from within them, the youth who are contesting, like us. It should come from within you that you want to come in. Until you make that decision, I suggest that they should not come into it. Because we also have examples like that of youth who have come in to power and now they are clueless on what they want to do. So all the time what they want to do is they seek advice from others, and at the end of the day, when it comes to next election, they are failures. But whereas if you already have something driven, that's what I even at the moment I'm doing, is forming various youth groups, asking them, we would give a group of 40 a tent, certain chairs, things and certain things, so that they organize youth we give them a certain amount of finances, so that this is actually done through my foundation, where they have the choice of doing whatever they want. They can do social programs, they can do whatever, and through that we build up quality leaders. So the youth, I am dragging them along with me, and like that there are certain parliamentarians also who are absorbing a lot of youth, and I believe we might have a very young parliament in time to come.